Hello everybody, welcome to Art for This Week. So for Holy Week this week, we're going to be making something called the Diamond Cross. It's a cross made up of a bunch of little paper diamonds. Now this shape, it's not exactly what I had in mind at the beginning. We're going to talk a lot today about how important it is to be flexible with art, especially when your plans do not work out the way you wanted them to. Because I had a pretty different shape in mind for this starting out. But let's get started and I can tell you more about how that works. All right, so in order to make this cross, all you need to start out is one piece of drawing paper. You also will need either a glue stick or some clear tape, and you'll definitely need a piece of scissors, but you can choose between these two. If you have some liquid glue, that should work fine as well instead of a glue stick, but you need something that's going to stick the paper together. So to start out, let's fold our paper in half. We're going to need to make 17 little strips of paper, and we could measure each of them out, and you can do that if you want to and if you have a ruler at home. But another way to get a lot of equally sized shapes is to fold and then make your own lines to cut along as you go. Now, as you fold, the more times you fold, the less exact these lines get. Maybe you can see my paper is already getting kind of off kilter right here. That's okay. Instead of folding this part in half, I'm just going to fold this portion in half towards my already pre-made folded line. Just like this. Okay, and like this. Okay. Now I'm gonna take my big heavy duty scissors and I'm gonna cut halfway through this shape. So let's do that. All right. So now if I open this up, I should have 8 equally sized little rectangles, which I can cut along on each of on the top and the bottom. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, perfect. Now we need 17, so this will give us 16, but that's why we've got this other one for the extra piece. So I'm going to speed cut these, but you can pause the video and cut them out at your own pace. One thing I think I'm gonna do is I'm going to probably cut this whole thing in half and then put the two halves on top of each other and cut along these vertical lines just to make it a little quicker. Here we go. All right, all done with that, and now we've got 17 of these little rectangles. Now they're not all exactly perfectly the same. That's okay. I think it's gonna be good enough for what we're trying to do. So what we're going to do now will depend on what kind of sticky technique you're gonna use. So if you are going to use clear tape, if you have some at home, then for each of these little rectangles, I need you to fold it in half, hamburger style, like this. Then we're gonna take a very small piece of tape and we're going to put it over the open end of our folded piece of paper. So now we should have something that looks like this. Now what I'd like you to do is squeeze the two ends, the fold and the taped portion, towards the center so that it makes a little football shape. And we're gonna make it about that wide, I think, so that on its own it kind of stands open like that. If you have tape, go ahead and do the same thing with all the others. But if you have glue, like a glue stick or liquid glue, I'll show you how to do that. So let's put this guy over here. All right, for using a glue stick, all you need to do is fold your rectangle up so that it doesn't quite, the bottom portion of the bottom edge does not quite reach the top edge. I'm gonna bring this a little closer in case you can't see. So I'm gonna take the bottom edge down here and move it up so that it doesn't quite touch the top edge, and we're gonna make our fold here. So just so I can see it better, I'm gonna draw a line along the one edge and along the other edge. What we're going to do now is we're going to fold the top edge over our bottom edge, like this. So we're gonna fold our top edge over our bottom edge. So it almost looks like one of those big yellow envelopes. Okay, now open it back up, like this. We're gonna take the glue and we're going to put glue on that exposed strip right at the very top. And get some on the table. That's okay. All right, then we're gonna fold that top envelope flap down, hold it for a few seconds, and then we'll have something that is glued together, and we can squeeze it open so that it is the same size as our tape one. Just like that. All right, so I'm going to do all of the rest of these in fast motion. So you can go ahead and do those at your own pace. But just so you know, if you would like your cross to be colored, then you would need to color each of these rectangles or use colored paper. It's up to you, but I think a white cross would look just fine as well. All right. Okay, all right. We've made it through the tedious portion. If you used a glue stick for this, I applaud you. That is very time-consuming and difficult. If you use tape, good job too. All right, here's what we're going to do now. I'd like you to start out by grabbing 2 of your little diamond football shapes, okay? We are going to take the glue and we're gonna put glue on, okay, well, let me explain it like this. So on our diamond, we've got 4 sides, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. On this side, right here, I'm going to place some glue. So let's do that right now. Now this is a portion where I suppose you could use tape, but I feel like it'll be a little easier with glue. So now I'm gonna take my other diamond and gonna put them together so that they're making sort of a roof shape right by where my fingers are, okay? Then I'm gonna pinch right here so that they stick together. And there we go, all right. Now I'm going to grab 2 more of these diamonds and we're going to do the same thing. So let's get some glue right here and let's put them together and pinch just like this. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to put them together like this. And our goal is to try to make sort of a circular shape, which may be a little bit difficult. Okay, everybody. Now, I just had a classic art moment. What I mean by that is I had an experience that I've had many times with many other projects. My original idea for how this is going to work doesn't seem to be working quite so well with the materials that I've got. So instead, I'm going to change my idea around a little bit. We're still going to make the cross, but it's going to look a little different than I originally planned. Now, the picture you saw at the beginning is going to be probably what we end up with here. But I just wanted to let you know that, well, things have to change sometimes, and here's an example of how they change. So, you've got 2 of these interesting little chevron patterns. What we're going to do now is we're going to put some glue on the roof of one of these chevron patterns, just like this. So I just put glue here and here. Now we are going to insert it down here, and I'm going to take my fingers and pinch the roof to the bottom of the other pattern so that we get something that looks like this. Okay, so now perhaps you can guess what's going to come next. We are going to use these to make the vertical part of the cross, and then we're going to figure out a way to make the horizontal part of the cross. Okay, so I'm just going to do the same thing I did for these, but with a few more pairs. Okay, we have the horizontal portion of our cross made, and I'm feeling pretty good about it so far. So now what we need to do is kind of problem solve for the side section. Now, one thing we could try is we could try to sort of make these chevron patterns connect here and go out, and that's looking kind of good right now, but I feel like it would also be worthwhile effort to try to maybe put a few like this. Maybe we could have two here. Yeah, I think I enjoy how that looks. I think what I'm gonna have us do is go with that. This is a time though when you can sort of take some creative liberties. If you feel like you have another way you would like to try to solve this problem of how to make a cross with these shapes, you can definitely go for it. But I think this is the method I'm gonna go for. So I'm gonna do this in fast motion in just a sec. First, let me show you kind of what my plan is. I'm going to get some glue on this part of the diamond, this top left part or top right part, and we're going to go to our second row of chevron shapes. We're going to connect them and pinch them just like we have been doing right here. Okay, and I'm curious, would it be good to do something like that? Yes, I think I'll do that. Okay. This is just sort of how art works sometimes. If you have a plan for what you're going to do, that's awesome, but as we experiment and try things out, we have to be willing to change our plan and adapt and be flexible. And so this is turning into a little bit of a lesson on that part of art, which I am definitely okay with. All right, I'm gonna do this next part in fast motion. So go ahead and do your own version of this, or you can copy me. Either way is fine. All right, I think I'm feeling happy with how this turned out. It's a lot different than I expected it to go, but once again, just a good example of how in art, a lot of times you gotta be flexible and be willing to kind of change in the same way that your materials change. I had a few extra ones. I'm just gonna arrange them around for some decoration. Okay, so what you can do now is one of two things. You can either leave your cross like this, and I think that would be just fine. Or you can grab another piece of paper and you can mount it on top. So what that would mean is, well, I've got a piece of scrap paper here. So I would find a piece of paper, place it on top, and then just use some tape on a few of the edges to tape it down onto this piece of paper. Since mine is white though, I like it better when it's just on its own, I think. If it was a different color, that would maybe be a different story. But here we go. Our cross is all finished up. Thank you for joining me today in art and being patient with me as we try to figure out exactly how this is gonna look with a few different obstacles that came up. All right, have a good Holy Week and Easter, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.